bundles, irrespective of price, have increased by 15%. Telecel and Airtel, all mobile bundles, irrespective of remote work and those who are content creators. We have restored MTN's 399 Ghana CD bundle, which used to offer 92 gig to 214 gigabyte now. Telecel's 250 gigabyte in place of the 195 gigabyte previously offered. These reductions were the results of a broader reform package we introduced in Q1, which included a spectrum review that freed up additional bandwidth to reduce congestion and tower operator cost, new licensing conditions that tied spectrum awards to consumer pricing commitments, and thirdly, direct regulatory engagement with telcos, which led to consensus on fair pricing aligned with global affordability benchmarks. Let me be clear, the ministry is engaged with the International Telecoms Union on further studies on the cost of data vis-a-vis the earning power of Ghanaians. Price reductions we will achieve and demand same for the Ghanaian people. Furthermore, all three major mobile network operators have agreed to invest a combined $150 million into their networks by the end of 2025 to improve service quality, reliability, and resilience. Enforcement of service quality benchmarks have been mandated to the NCA, with ongoing monitoring started already by the regulator. Our goal is to ensure that data is not a luxury, but a utility. It is accessible and affordable to every Ghanaian. As with our civil society and the public to support this shift, and please feel free to hold me accountable for delivery. 3, legislative review and update. A central priority of my tenure is to modernize Ghana's ICT legal framework in line with international standards. And to that end, the ministry initiated a comprehensive internal review of all existing ICT laws, policies, and guidelines in Q1 2025. The review is now complete, and we have initiated a process of drafting 15 new technology laws, including the Data Protection Amendment Bill, the Cybersecurity Regulations, the Ghana Startup Act, the Digital ID Regulation, and new frameworks on AI, cloud services, digital trade, and platform governance. The ministry will work closely with Parliament in completing the processes for these legislative reforms, which will, 1, modernize Ghana's ICT legal architecture to reflect today's digital realities, 2, secure Ghana's digital ecosystem while upholding inclusion and fundamental rights, and 3, foster a trusted regulatory environment that attracts investments and drives innovation. Strong progress on the Ghana Innovation and Startup Bill. The draft bill submitted in March 2025 has since undergone extensive stakeholder legal drafting phase and under final review by a law firm working closely with ecosystem stakeholders. It's currently undergoing due process, will provide legal clarity and registration for startups. It will provide tax incentives and targeted reliefs for startups and a streamlined compliance framework for innovation-led firms. Ghana's advancement on this legislation sends a clear signal to local and international investors. We're building a competitive, investor-ready digital economy driven by local entrepreneurship and innovation. In line with our vision, this event, which attracts over 10,000 people in person from over 70 countries with over 100 exhibitors, will happen over a 3-day period in November. It brings into the country venture capitalists, angel investors, and captains of industry to partner the brightest innovators and startups in our country. 5, the National Anti-Misinformation Bill. To protect the integrity of Ghana's digital information ecosystem, the ministry is making steady progress on is designed to strengthen legal safeguards against a clear legal framework for enforcement, enabling statutory bodies to act decisively while upholding freedoms of expression. The bill is set to be presented to Parliament for review in its upcoming session and reflects the ministry's commitments to ensuring accountability, fostering trustworthy public discourse, and promoting digital literacy without compromising democratic values. And let me be clear, we will not clamp down on the freedom of expression. That will be respected. However, where your rights to free expression end, your duty not to misinform begins. 6, a national AI strategy consultation. On April 15th and again on the 23rd to 24th of April, the ministry convened inclusive stakeholder forums in partnership with key strategic allies, including the KNUST's Responsible AI Lab, the British High Commission, and GIZ's Fair for leaders, civil society organizations, and development partners to co-create Ghana's national AI strategy. The draft strategy, which aligns with the AU standards and global best practices, has completed legal review and is slated for cabinet presentation. AI ecosystem that positions Ghana as the premier AI hub of Africa by 2028. The ministry is also working on a new emerging technologies legislation to steer a clear path and indicate our desire as a nation to be a major contributor on the continent in emerging technologies such as AI, IoT, blockchain, and machine learning. And on this, you remember that in Q2, we signed a $1 billion deal with the government of UAE to bring in Africa's biggest AI and innovation hub into the country. Work is steadily progressing on that project. 7, the development of the National Digital Transformation and Technology Strategy with a strong emphasis on artificial intelligence. This initiative, crafted in partnership with UNESCO and the British High Commission, establishes a clear roadmap for ethical, inclusive, and sovereignty-conscious integration of AI and emerging technologies into strategic partnerships and embedding human capital. This strategy remains on schedule for release in Q3 2025. 8, the NGIC 5G rollout deadline. The next generation infrastructure company, NGIC, our exclusive shared neutral 4G, 5G infrastructure provider, is progressing steadily towards its target of activating over 350 5G ready cell sites. At my last briefing, I indicated that they had set a deadline, or we had set a deadline of June 2025. Unfortunately, the company has been unable to meet that deadline. We have set a final deadline of Q4 2025, where at least 50 live 5G sites are expected in Accra and Kumasi. As of today, NGIC, as of today, 3rd July, NGIC has deployed 16 5G ready sites and received full NCA approval for its core network infrastructure. These milestones reflect meaningful progress, for agreed with NGIC that there will be no further extensions to this rollout deadline. If the company fails to meet the Q4 deadline, the is fully mandated to enforce this directive. The national rollout model is a deliberate policy shift to reduce infrastructure duplication, lower data cost, and accelerate universal 5G access for all Ghanaians. We're working closely with NGIC to ensure transparency, efficiency, and customer value at every stage. 9, Ghana.gov. The Ghana.gov platform is undergoing comprehensive re-engineering, which would launch in Q4 after a public tender, will feature significantly faster access, full Ghana card integration, and an intuitive, streamlined interface tailored for both individuals and businesses. This upgraded portal will enhance transparency, convenience, and reliability in accessing government services. We intend to put 16,000 government services on that platform. 10, the Girls in ICT initiative. The ministry scaled the 2025 Girls in ICT initiative across the Volta, Upper East, and Upper West regions as part of this effort. 1,000 girls from 18 districts in the Volta region completed a 3-week practical training program covering web development, game animation, cybersecurity, and coding, equipping them with relevant tools for Ghana's digital economy. The top 100 performers received laptops and excellence awards, and 10 teachers were awarded with laptops for their dedication. To further incentivize excellence and healthy competition, the top 3 performers were awarded cash prizes. The ministry also plans to establish fully equipped ICT labs in the schools of the top 3 performers to ensure continuity and sustainability. Also under the Girls in ICT, ministry's commitments to closing the gender gap in tech and ensuring equitable access to digital skills for young women beyond Accra. I keep saying Ghana is not Accra. Engagements with trainers and students highlighted the effectiveness of hands-on ICT education in empowering girls and promoting digital inclusion at the regional level. The Girls in ICT initiative reinforces our inclusive digital communities are genuinely national. We look forward to the Upper East and Upper West programs, where we're headed next. 11, the smart workplace. The National Information Technology Agency, NITA, has finalized a significant refresh of the smart workstation scheduling and more. Over 25 MDAs are now actively using the enhanced platform. Broad-based rollout continues, with over 300 government organizations, including local assemblies and health services, now using the platform for virtual collaboration and documentational efficiency across government. 12, engagement to enable full PayPal access in Ghana. The ministry has formally reopened engagements with PayPal to ensure full access to its service for Ghanaian users. As of June 2025, PayPal's regional government relations team has issued Ghana a compliance roadmap outlining the technical regulation closely with the Bank of Ghana and other key stakeholders to fulfill these conditions and to ensure PayPal also meets the necessary requirements to operate in Ghana. In line with this, I was on a call with the governor of the Bank of Ghana yesterday, trying to streamline all the regulatory issues, and I'm sure that in the next couple of weeks, before I do my next quarterly briefing, I should have good news on PayPal integration in Ghana. 13, TikTok engagement. As part of efforts to promote a safe, vibrant, and inclusive digital creative economy, I met with TikTok's West African Government Relations team on the 26th of June. Our discussions focused on enforcing age restrictions, safeguarding minors, and promoting responsible content development. And explicit material on TikTok is completely unacceptable in a country, but the cybersecurity authorities mandated to do constant surveillance of TikTok platforms and accounts in country that are engaged in content that is anti our culture and not appropriate, and work with the platform operator to take down those accounts and block the owners of those accounts from operating on those platforms. The ministry also welcomed TikTok's introduction of a STEM-focused content feed and encouraged strong alignment with national programs, particularly the 1 Million Coders Initiative. I also urged TikTok to ensure fair compensation for Ghana's content creators, and I proposed the establishment of a local moderation and content governance team to reflect Ghana's values, our culture, and protect user rights and support national regulatory expectations. Number 14, our engagements with MultiChoice Ghana on subscription pricing. Last week, I invited the senior leadership of MultiChoice Ghana to a formal dialogue on DSTV's subscription pricing in Ghana. The meeting addressed public structures must be responsive to Ghana's economic context. I have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow, Friday, even though it's a public holiday, with the Ghana team and their South African counterparts, the management from South Africa. They arrived tonight to agree on a way forward on the issues raised. The outcomes will be shared with the public in due course. This engagement reflects our commitment to regulatory accountability and our resolve to ensure that digital services in Ghana remain fair, accessible, and responsive to the needs of citizens. I make you one promise. I won't leave tomorrow's meeting without securing a drop in the pricing of DSTV. That is a solemn promise I make to you. Implementation. These engagements are essential to shaping responsive policy, unlocking investment, and ensuring inclusive national participation in our digital transformation agenda. To buttress this, I have engaged in quarterly industry engagements which have been institutionalized between the telecom CEOs, infrastructure providers, and the regulator. We've also embarked on ministerial ecosystem tours where we visited companies like Shack Express, IT Consortium, Apps and Mobile, Grow for Me, and a number of other local innovators. These engagements offered a platform for feedback and collaboration, and they reinforced our commitment to policy clarity, investment incentives, and infrastructure support. I've also embarked on regional innovation promotions when, in May, I addressed the MEPSIS 2025 Summit in Kumasi under the Metrological Trust Fund, which focused on motion technology, smart media, and creative entrepreneurship. This platform allowed us to showcase government-backed digital initiatives outside of Accra, promoting regional innovation and ensuring nationwide inclusion in Ghana's digital growth. 16, strategic partnership for skills and sector reform. The ministry continues to leverage public, private, and bilateral partnerships to expand digital opportunities, attract investment, and catalyze structural reforms across the ICT sector. In line with this, a major realignment in Ghana's telecom sector is underway, with conversations around the planned acquisition of 60% stake in AT Ghana. An MOU was signed, and the ministry is closely working with. They have 24 days. If they do not complete in 24 days, I will reopen it up for new opportunities and options. Computing, AI, and software development, particularly under our 1 Million Coders program. And these efforts are being supported by both private sector firms and international training partners, reinforcing Ghana's human capital base for the digital economy. With MTN, we have signed an MOU on AI and skills. This MOU will see MTN Ghana co-develop a national AI innovation center. The agreement also commits funding towards training 5,000 young Ghanaians in AI and related digital skills over the next 18 months. This partnership strengthens Ghana's institutional and workforce readiness for AI adoption. The Ghana UAE Innovation Hub is what I spoke about already, the $1 billion innovation hub. Work is ongoing, and we expect construction to begin in Q1 2026. As we speak, the pre-project management office modalities are underway. Strategic partnership with the University of Ghana to execute our digital youth village. This partnership will see the co-creation of digital skills programs for the evolving demands of Ghana's digital economy. Together, these engagements and partnerships reflect our commitment to a participatory, inclusive approach to digital governance, where partnership fuels progress and innovation is made truly national. Now, this brings me to an end of the ministry, the headquarters, our work. I'll now take you into what the agencies have been doing. The NCA. The NCA has, which is the National Communications Authority, has advanced major reforms across the sector to promote efficient spectrum use, safeguard national security, and enhance service delivery. And some of these steps they've taken include spectrum efficiency and regulatory reform, broader frequency monitoring and coordination, and most importantly, our preparation for the 2027 World Radio Communications Conference, which will hold from the conference from the 6th, and the NCA has held its first preparatory meeting from the 6th to the 8th of May this year. The meeting reviewed proposed conference agenda items and established a framework for coordinating Ghana's position and participation in the ECOWAS and Africa preparatory meetings towards satellite and radio determination services in Ghana, where 5 operators have received satellite service licenses with provisional authorizations, services, IoT services, tracking and monitoring systems, and backhaul connectivity. A national spectrum policy is currently being developed to provide for efficient and equitable use of spectrum to meet government's growing spectrum demand. The NCA is also promoting amateur radio stations to build local expertise and resilience in communication. The authority says they aim to set up a model amateur radio station on its premises to support this. And so for those of you who want to become amateur radio station operators, you should visit the NCA and explore what they're doing. SIM registration. In my last update, I indicated that we're looking to start SIM registration on the 1st of July. The NCA has implemented the overhaul of the entire SIM registration in and phase 3 will be business SIM verification and deactivation of non-compliant records. I'm minded by the fact that the last time an LI was put together for the registration of SIM cards was sometime in 2010. And that LI is no longer fit for purpose. I want everything we do at the ministry to be backed by law. And so we will go back to Parliament, lay the LI, and once it is matured, we will then roll out the SIM registration. But rest assured, this SIM registration will be like none you've ever seen. There'll be no queues. There will be no loss of man hours. You would do it electronically. You'd get the message. And that's the work that the NCA is currently doing. It's about 80% complete in terms of the biometric data cleanup, because we hold a lot of biometric data. And so there is no need for you to come back and resubmit that data if we can access that data, clean it, and match it with you. And so a lot of work is going on in there, and I'm sure that before the end of Q3, we'll be in a position to officially announce the public start of the SIM registration. Along with the SIM registration, we're doing a central equipment identity register. Now, this initiative is being implemented to monitor, identify, and block stolen and counterfeit devices to disincentivize device theft. The system will have secure API and web interfaces for integration with the SIM registration systems of the telcos, GRA's custom systems, and in synchronization with the SIM registration. On regional connectivity, what we call ECOWAS roaming, Ghana's bilateral roaming service is now live with Côte d'Ivoire, Togo, and Benin. What this means is if you were to travel from Ghana to Côte d'Ivoire or to Togo and Benin, you would pay the rates that the locals in that Togo and Ghana and Benin. Testing is ongoing with the Gambia. It's complete, actually, with the Gambia, and we're in advanced talks with Nigeria to go live before the end of 2025. This initiative will lower roaming costs and boost regional integration. On telecom emergencies and licensing frameworks, the National Telecommunications Emergency Plan is complete. It will ensure that emergency communications for responders work even when commercial networks fail. We're doing new and revised licenses in development for communication managed services, internet exchange points, submarine carriers, and communication dealerships. And on the internet exchange points, it's extremely important that Ghana continues to attract a lot more internet exchange, or the data bundles are used up. If you have more internet exchange points locally, what happens is when you make the request to view a web page or access an internet resource, the travel distance is shorter. So currently, most of our exchange points are sitting in London and in Portugal. So it means that when you try to access it, the travel distance, the amount of data used to go and hit the exchange point in Portugal or London before it comes back to Ghana means that there's more data consumed. If we have internet exchange points locally, the travel time is shorter. And I'm glad to announce that this evening, I'm going to be commissioning the London Internet Exchange Point in Accra. We're opening a new exchange point here in Accra in partnership with Onyx. And the beauty of it is that it's not just going to be placed in Onyx as a primary data center, but it's also going to have backups in digital reality and one other data center. And we're trying to attract at least before access internet resources will be drastically reduced. Two, Cybersecurity Authority. The Cybersecurity Authority continues to advance Ghana's cybersecurity agenda through regulatory enforcement, citizen protection, international cooperation, and digital resilience. They have engaged in threat monitoring and protection initiatives. They've worked on cybercrime and incident reporting. They've worked on child online protection and awareness campaigns. Under the Child Online Protection and Awareness campaigns, over 55,000 young people have been directly reached with safety education. Preparation is underway as we speak for the 2025 edition of the National Cybersecurity Challenge, which will target 100 in building a safe, informed, and accountable digital space. Under licensing, regulation, and institutional frameworks, the CSA has registered 326 cybersecurity providers, 1,821 cybersecurity professionals, and 87 cybersecurity establishments. We're operationalizing sectoral sets in energy, health, and global leadership. Ghana, represented by the humanitarian law alongside Luxembourg for states, and the CSA was selected by the University of Oxford's Global Cybersecurity Capacity Center to pilot its AI cybersecurity readiness metric as a Tier 1 country. Ghana has also actively participated in the Octopus Conference, the Glacis East Steering Committee, and ECOWAS Regional Cybersecurity Coordination Center feasibility study. Now, law enforcement. And I want you to pay very close attention, and we'll continue to do a lot of work in. We have conducted a number of operations, have been surveilled, arrested, and used material, unauthorized access into financial platforms, investment scams, sextortion, and recruitment fraud. In one instance, the CSA and the Ghana Immigration Service busted a pig butchering fraud hosting center at the Nyamidria. That particular raid, we seized 4,000 mobile phones, 70 laptops, and 5 firearms. Tells you the level of crime that's ongoing in the country. Barely 3 weeks ago, a sophisticated recruitment fraud ring. After weeks of detailed surveillance, an operation was carried out with the Ghana Police Service in Sogakope, leading to the arrest of 11 suspects, including the gang leader of the group. The gang had extensive. The CSA has also been on the forefront of clamping down on illegal financial flows and transfer of illicit funds through multi-agency corporations. Within days of my appointment as minister, we received requests from the FBI for assistance, proceeds in excess of 105 million individuals using tools at our disposal, and conducted weeks of surveillance, building critical evidence material for law enforcement to utilize in the extradition and prosecution processes. As of today, 4 of the 5 persons have been successful in his office. We make a solemn pledge to make Ghana an uncomfortable place for persons engaged in acts that tarnish the global reputation of our nation. We have a number of active operations underway, and we will brief the nation once we complete in our country, and hand them over to law enforcement to deal with them. The work of the CSA remains central to our national vision for a secure, trusted, and inclusive digital economy. As the threats evolve, so must our defenses, sector partnership, and global best practices. To the CSA, NITA continues to execute several key reforms, and system upgrades are now operational or at advanced stages of implementation. The cybersecurity operation and GovSet transition. The SOC provides real-time threat monitoring and weekly vulnerability scans for MDAs. Under PKIs and digital trust services, the National Roots PKI infrastructure has been successfully deployed. It is now integrated with the Ghana card and the new chip-embedded e-passport and the e-visa platform. A roadmap has been developed to extend digital signature capabilities to core registries in DVLA, Lands Commission, WIEC, and public universities. Ghana Data Exchange Hub. This hub will enable secure data exchange between MDAs and SOEs, real-time service integration across government, and reduce. NITA is piloting an AI-based public service solution in collaboration with local innovators such as Impuntun Technologies. These include chatbots and predictive analytics for use in education and health. A public misinformation platform is currently in final testing that will allow citizens to verify official documents. So when Felix puts out a statement, you want to be sure that it is really Felix that has put out the statement. We will have digital embedded tools that will allow for you to tell that this is actually authentic government documentation and not the misinformation that you see around town. On institutional reforms, we're carrying out legislative reforms to ensure that NITA evolves into a fully fledged digital regulatory certification and audit powers for digital infrastructure across all government agencies, and for the authority to enforce technical and security compliance across government systems. This transfer system, GIFEC. GIFEC continues to play a vital role in Ghana's efforts to achieve universal access and digital institutional support. Under rural telephony, as at the end of Q2 2025, 1,561 sites have been constructed with 1,556 integrated into the national network. 1,077 sites are actively delivering voice and data services, and in 2025 alone, 468 additional sites are currently innovation centers and digital content expansion initiative. Working together in partnership with Tech Aid Ghana, which we call ASANKA, digital content and devices have been piloted in 3 centers across the Ashanti, Northern, and Greater Accra regions. Under institutional ICT support and school connectivity, in the first half of 2025, we've delivered 90 desktops and 228 laptops to 15 public institutions. Under our school connectivity project, procurement is underway for 1,000 computers for basic schools and thin clients for 30 senior high schools. The Volta region, 2,000 more girls will be trained in the Upper East and Upper West regions. Data Protection Commission. The Data Protection Commission is fast-tracking its licensing and institutional capacity. Licensing turnaround times have been reduced from 3 months to just 7 days, enabling quicker onboarding and compliance for data controllers. Over 700 data protection officers have been trained, with 580 of these staff are professionally certified, positioning the Commission as a model for capacity and technical readiness in Africa's ecosystem. National norms such as the GDPR and the AU Convention. The Commission is in the final stages of developing a QR and USSD-enabled national privacy seal, which will allow the public to instantly verify the compliance status of organizations. A new digital certification and registration portal is also nearing completion. GMET. GMET, the Ghana Metrological Agency, conducts service quality, digital transformation, and climate resilience initiatives. GMET has secured ISO 9001 commitment to globally accepted standards in climate service delivery. We have the Early Warning for All roadmap, where Ghana has endorsed this roadmap under the UN Early Warning for All initiative. This roadmap will strengthen Ghana's multi-hazard early warning infrastructure through interagency collaboration involving GMET, NADMO, Red Cross, and others. Operational efficiency. The institution has worked to procure operational vehicles. A common alert protocol system has been integrated into GMET's website. This enables real-time multi-channel dissemination of warning via mobile, radio, TV, and online platforms. National operationalization is being pursued in partnership with the NCA and disaster response agencies and logistics backbone. It's expanding services, mandate, and delivery reach, and in doing this, they have begun the nationwide delivery of chip-embedded passports on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the DVLA for driver's license, and bank cards for 2 major delivery of passports in some instances. And this is simply because citizens fail to realize that if you register for a passport using a Goro boy, and he uses his phone number to make the application, when the passport is processed and handed over to Ghana, when the delivery person gets to that individual and the Goro boy shows his identity, his location, when we dispatch the passport, it's the photograph on the passport. So when you use a Goro boy and his number is what we call, and we get to deliver and it is a Goro boy, we will not hand over the passport to a third party. Those passports are returned. And these same people now go online and complain that their passports are not being delivered. It's a criminal offense for you to use a Goro boy to apply for a passport. The process, as designed by Ghana Post, is robust. Another challenge we have is when delivery men call recipients of their passports. They pick and then say, I'm at work, so I'll call you back. And you call the delivery person at 8 p.m. that you are now home. He should come and deliver the passports to you. We don't keep the passports. And so we urge the public to appreciate the nuances of a digital delivery system. That to do timely deliveries, you need to work with the postal services as they get to you to deliver. But if you don't do this and then you go online and go and tag the Minister for Foreign Affairs and say that he's not doing his work, anyway. On the back of this, let me say that the Ghana Post is repositioned, including the full automation of the Office of Exchange, to ensure that the throughput and customs processing and tracking are improved. The Green Post strategy agenda at G-Post. A formal application is being prepared to the Bank of Ghana for a license to enable Ghana Post operate financial services, remittance transfers, and digital savings products for underserved populations. And this is part of the agenda to make the Ghana Post relevant in the digital world. When you go to the UK today, it's the post office you use to send money. Most people don't go into a banking hall. they do remittances through the post office. And that's why the Ghana Post should get a license from the Bank of Ghana to be able to, in local communities where you don't have a bank, there is a post office. And so you should be able to offer banking services and add financial inclusion to the underserved areas. And I commend the leadership of Ghana Post for that wishing to ensure that G-Post remains relevant in a digital age. The Postal and Courier Services Regulatory Commission. The PCSRC continues to intensify regulatory oversight of Ghana's courier and postal sector. On regulatory enforcement and sector support, a nationwide enforcement campaign has been planned with the Ghana Police Service to clamp down on unlicensed delivery operators. So if you register, because very soon, the Commission is rolling out a capacity building program for Ghana Post personnel. Another thing that we're doing is to amend the Postal Service Act and its accompanying LI to reflect evolving market dynamics, including digital commerce and logistics. Ghana Digital Center. The Ghana Digital Center Limited has advanced its core mandate of building a digitally skilled workforce through structured training and job matching initiatives, development, digital marketing, and soft skills. And the beauty of this is that the beneficiaries who were trained were placed in hands-on internships through the Jumpstart program, which uses KPOs, knowledge process outsourcing models, to integrate skills with startup incubation. And now, startup and gig ecosystem, 61 tech startups at various stages of growth have received support through the GDCL-hosted programs and ecosystem events. GDCL is positioning itself as a cornerstone of Ghana's digital transformation. By scaling its GDCL is also prepping its facilities to participate in the 24-hour economy. In my closing remarks, I know I've spoken for long. I'm coming to an end. My distinguished colleague, heads of agencies, members of the press, fellow citizens, as we conclude this quarter's update, let me reaffirm our core mandate. Our mandate is to build a secure, inclusive, and innovation-driven digital ecosystem that creates jobs, empowers citizens, and positions Ghana as a leader in Africa's digital future. The progress I have outlined today is not just a list of projects. It is evidence of an administration that is governing with purpose and urgency. And mind you, all the plenty things I've said in the last 3 months, we are reforming laws to match today's reality and today's tech-driven world. We're investing in our people, especially the young people of our country, to give them the tools to participate meaningfully in the digital ecosystem. And we're working across every region and with every stakeholder to ensure that the benefits of digitalization are not luxury for a few, but a basic right for all. To the private sector, partner with us, not just to make profit, but to build. To academia and civil society, work with us to innovate and hold us accountable. And to every Ghanaian, the digital future is yours, and we are here to ensure its history. NCA, NITA, data protection, Postal and Courier Services, cybersecurity, GIFEC, Ghana Post, Ghana Data Centers Limited, the Ghana Domain Name Registry, every one of you, and all our partners and stakeholders, you make this vision possible. To His Excellency the President, we take energy from your energy and will continue to deliver, sir. Our mission is not to keep things as they are, but to reshape them with intention and resolve. Ghana's digital future is already being built. Let's build it together.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that comprehensive update. I would invite questions at this, and then he will answer. Please, you do not need to trot all the way forward. Just stand at the back and ask your question. In the interest of time, we want to ensure that we do not spend too much time here. Please identify yourself, ask your question, and the minister will answer.
The person should come out here. Are you ready? Yeah, here. Just stand here.
I want to find out from the minister, how can the ministry work with Multi-Choice Ghana to address public concern about the affordability and value for money of their subscription services? That's my first question. My second question is, what additional measures can the ministry take to ensure the competition for the protection of protected, especially those who are doing the content creating with TikTok? Thank you.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the minister answered the question on multi-choice, but for the avoidance of doubt, he will take the opportunity to reiterate it, just in case some of our compatriots missed that point.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes.
My name is Justice Adoboy. I work for Shinwa News Agency. So I have two quick questions. Difficulties or challenges to the attention of the minister, because it looks like two deadlines have been roll out the 5G networks. Secondly, who are the government's partners in implementing the 1 million coders project? And going forward, if there are no private sector partners now, does the government have any intention to engage private sector players as partners in rolling out this noble project? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next question, please.
My name is Ernie Borton. I'm a cybersecurity consultant in the U.S. I want to thank the minister for this event because it provides us interested persons and the general public a chance to have some visibility into the activities of the ministry. My organization is to, for instance, in the U.S., we have a SOC 2 reports that are issued by third parties. That, so if you want to, two organizations provide those reports to each other to know that, okay, this organization has assurance based on their service and the controls that they have. And the second report, the second question I have is, based on the Q2 progress, what are the top?
Based on the reports you've delivered so far on Q1 and Q2, yes. Next, please go ahead.
My name is Daniel Sakite with CTFM Channel 1 TV. My first question will have to do with the rollout of the data offerings. The minister at his last press engagement did indicate that the start date of 1st July was to enable the MNOs to recalibrate their systems to implement the offering. Given that the initial start date, some MNOs encountered challenges, and with the minister also directing the NCA to punish or implement some punitive measures against those who fail to comply. I want to find out from the minister if MNOs, some of the MNOs have, been punished regarding the start date. He was going to engage with the finance minister on tax handles on data or on the sector to reduce prices. I want to find out the update on that. And also sale of spectrum within the first week of July. Any updates regarding that? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Final question for this round.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Eric Wood from Mr. Wood Studios in Modern Ghana. Like Honorable Sam George, that nowadays we normally meet instances whereby people convince the MTN users, then they withdraw their money from their account. And also they convince them to borrow from Quick Loan, which the user is not aware. Calendar, I want to know how the NCA and the Cybersecurity Authority going to work against such criminality. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
The minister will field these questions, after which we will take the next.
Osman's question from Radio Gold, I don't know if he came in late, but on DSTV, I made the point that I met with the Ghanaian management, from that meeting, that a lot of was coming from South Africa. And I've seen people make all kinds of funny comments on social. That license has terms and conditions. If you flout those terms and conditions, we have the power and mandate to revoke that license. The citizens of the state. And like I said, tomorrow is a holiday, but tomorrow at 1 p.m., I will meet with the Ghana and South Africa team in my office. And I'm clear in my mind, that meeting will not come to one. The South African management to say that when you buy a package, they should upgrade you to the next one. We are grateful, but that's not what we want. We want a price reduction. And that's what we will push tomorrow at tomorrow's meeting. And I'll update the country as soon as we're done with that. On TikTok, I've also met with TikTok and had a conversation with TikTok about the content creators in Ghana. And again, I addressed that earlier on, where I said that we're looking at both harmful and helpful content. And we're not just looking at content that is just for entertainment purposes, but content that is educative. People should be able to make money. Engage with them and said to them that they need to come back in here and have a session with our content creators on how they can benefit from the platform. But one of the key things we need to do is to ensure that as you create your content, that your content, the algorithms are structured in such a way to give full visibility and give full economic value for the content that you create. And so that's the engagement we're having with them. And I said to teams in the region, was for them to go back to their headquarters and team locally, because the team that works on Africa currently sits in Dublin. And my argument is African solutions and African content moderation must be African. And so we're working with them on that solution. Justice from Xinhua asked about the 5G rollout. But for us, we hold our view that as a ministry and as a regulator, we've no longer government to business. And that's why we're giving them up to the end of Q4. If at the end of Q4, they're not able to address their challenges in terms of the license and explore all options available to us. On private sector partners for 1 million coders, certainly. I mean, it was publicly publicized, the MOU between the ministry and Huawei, for example, to train 100,000 out of the 1 million. And we're beginning to work on the framework modalities for that as well. And so there is that. There's the MTN one as well that I spoke about, 5,000 people to be trained in AI at the AI Hub. We're currently exploring other options with AWS, with Google and Microsoft. About 3 weeks ago, I met with the Vice President of Microsoft, Brad Smith, and had conversations with him on how we could integrate the Microsoft courses into the OMCP program. But it's critical for us that we are minded about how we roll out the larger program, and that's why we're studying the report of the pilot program to see what learnings we can make so that when you launch out full scale, you don't have critical challenges. And so the ministry is setting up and implement and seamless rollout of it. But that is not just only foreign partners. Even locally, we've received over 80 proposals from various universities in Ghana, UNAIR, KNUST, UG, UCC, from groups like NITA that will run this program with us. Ellie, who is a cybersecurity consultant, asked questions about reports on our SOC operations. Yes, we generate reports. However, given the critical nature of those reports, they are not publicly circulated. What we do is affected sector players are notified of whatever emerging threats and trends they need to be aware of. So we circulate within the ecosystem to those who are regulated. So for example, if there are threats that have been picked up by the NCA set in the telecom sector, the notices will be sent out to the telecom operators. If the BOG set picked up something during the ensuing quarter, what it will then do is issue that as an advisory to all the individual companies that are operated within the BOG's ecosystem. But all the sectoral sets that are operational today report to the national set, and the national set speaks with all of them and speaks with the various regulators in those sets. Priorities for Q3, Q4, well, we've begun that. It's a strict enforcement of cybersecurity preparedness for all entities that are designated critical information infrastructure. My predecessor designated, I think, 137 institutions as critical national information infrastructure. However, many of them have just been designated on paper. They have no preparedness. Today, their cyber preparedness is between anywhere 0 to 40%, which is woefully inadequate. And so the CSE has begun writing to them, specifying specific vulnerabilities and specific steps that have to be taken with timelines. And so our plan is that by end of year, at least all of our critical things for cyber preparedness put in place. And so that's the core mandate that we're working on, alongside the law enforcement mandate of clamping down on illicit financial flows in the country, and all the various schemes that people use to clean the money that they illegally bring into the country. I didn't get the name of the gentleman from City FM, but he asked if there was going to be any punishment for MTN. Well, he didn't mention MTN. He said the network, that there was only MTN that was unable to go live of the three. No, there will be no punishment. Reason being, and for those of you who were awake on the midnight of July 1st, I was awake and fully active. I was up till about 2:30 a.m. When it struck 12, the system was working. Those who started, when you went on the app, you saw the new drop downs. You saw that the 399 had become active. Some people were able to buy it. Not an issue of the company not complying. It was a technical issue that involved literally the entire systems that were supposed to run this whole platform. And the company was very responsive. They engaged the regulator immediately. I got the first call at 6 a.m. The regulator was equally called. In that day, between 6 a.m. when the first call came and 6 p.m., I had 2 meetings with the management of both management and technical teams in my office. There were meetings at and that's just at the ministry. There were separate meetings at the regulator. And on an hourly basis, I was updated by the chief executive officer. The CEO gave me noon. That was not met. We moved it to about 6 p.m. At 9 p.m., their systems went live. And by midnight of July 1st, all systems were working. And let me be clear, the challenges they had, some people were able to still buy the new bundles and get the notification of same. But some people bought the bundles, they got the new bundle, but the messaging was the old bundle. So because of the challenges they had, and so it was, I mean, yes, you want to punish when people do not do the right thing, but you don't punish just because you have the power to punish. If they took the requisite steps and in less than 24 hours they remedied it, I don't think it will be fair to punish the company. If we saw evidence, and another thing, let me be clear, I have mandated that the regulator works with them to carry out a full investigation into what led to that shutdown. So we will do a full technical assessment of what led to it. But for me, the proactiveness in less than 24 hours to fix the situation and the communication channels, for me, I don't think that it's something I want to impose a sanction on them for. Tax handles on data. Yes, it's conversation that we will have. The finance ministry has its timelines. We've made our presentations to them, but as they go into conversations for next year's budget, they'll begin to have those conversations around tax handles, possible tax handles that will be dropped. I'm aware that the finance ministry has already said something about rationalization of the VAT calculation. That automatically will have an effect on the cost of pricing in the data space. So yes, we'll look at that. However, one other key thing we've successfully started work on is the telecom tariff, which I think is actually the biggest move we can make in this sector to drive prices down. Because your tax handles may move, but not by very much. But where you can actually get a lot of movement is in your telecom tariff. And we've had fruitful. The executive secretary has indicated that as a regulator themselves, the commission was exploring. We have challenges. These are the challenges we have in trying to figure it out. If the sector ministry is working on this, can you make it possible? Today, this morning, I have just received, before coming in here, I have received from the chairperson of the Chamber of Telecoms all the technical documentation that is needed to help the PURC from Ghana Telecom, which runs towers he has the technical documentation the PURC needs. From here, when I get back to the ministry, we'll put our cover note on it and send it to the PURC, and I'm confident that in Q3, we'll be able to have some fruitful movement on the telecom tariff. Once we have a telecom tariff, what it does is it drops by a certain factorial, the cost of telecommunication is power. If you take out spectrum, it's power, because all the cell sites are running on the grid. So if you drop that, if I'm able to get the telecom tariff and drop the telecom tariff, the tower companies will drop their prices, and it must cascade all the way down to the customers. That one, there's an agreement on it. And again, if anybody who reneges on that agreement, the NCA, there's not me who will do it, it's the NCA that will do it. Spectrum sale update, yes. We've completed negotiations with both Telecel and MTN. We've received a request for extension from one of them for 2 weeks. Brings us to somewhere around the pricing. Both have accepted, and we've negotiated payment terms. It's a matter of us getting that will do the distribution to them. Eric from Modern Ghana, your question basically points to social engineering. Electronic money issuers who deal in mobile money. It's the Bank of Ghana. However, with the policy direction from the ministry, we're crafting out the legal framework to have some kind of regulatory oversight over that. But we've met with the EMIs, and let me use this opportunity to give your PIN. Please do not give your PIN. It's as simple as ABC. There is nobody who can break into your mobile money wallet. It's a figment of people's imagination. The technique. And you don't need to say you are calling your PIN out for them. They send you a prompt and then you type your PIN in. No. No electronic money issuer will call you and ask you to enter your PIN on your device. Please, pains. But look, we need to be awake as people. Okay? Stop being too trusting. Don't believe that somebody wants to strengthen your system, or they are upgrading their system, all kinds of stories. It doesn't work. So please be mindful. But I think that on this point, I'll just make, Honorable Minister, if I get your permission, there's something I didn't touch on. The closure of radio stations. We, through the regulator, shut down 62 radio stations for various infractions. Now, those 62 are not the only. We did the first 6 to send a signal. People didn't mind us. We did 62. God being so good for them, it was Father's Day's week. So, President Mahama, Ejapa, the proper Ejapa, decided to give a Father's Day gift and asked us to give a moratorium. We gave a moratorium of 30 days. Today is I think it's left at about all right, so this works. So I'm saying that we have 9 days left of the 30-day grace period. Of the 62 stations, only 18 have made an effort to reach out to the NCA to try and remedy their challenges. In fact, of the 18, most of them will not be able, the challenges that they have, they will not be able to complete it in the 9 days. But so that it does not appear as though this is a deliberate, they should serve them notices, giving them a 30-day extension to complete the requirements that they need. In the interim, for those who would have to then operate on test transmission, would have to do so. While on the expiration of the 9 days, enforcement will be carried out again. And this time, I don't think the president is going to show further leniency. And so, notice is served again. 9 days to the end of the 30 days. I thank you.
You cannot expect a statement from me on behalf of the president if you continue to show recalcitrance, despite the clemency that was shown when the initial regulatory enforcement was put in place. So that is for the records. And also, let everybody take notice that government has done its bit to accommodate the radio stations so affected in order that we safeguard the medium so that people can express their views as enshrined in the Constitution. So let nobody see that there was any political witch hunt when eventually the regulator clamps down on the illegality that is currently being perpetuated. So thank you very much, Mr. Minister, for that notification. Now, we will take the last batch of questions. Because of how far pressed we are with time, I would only allow one question per questioner. So if you have any questions, please go ahead. Okay. Identify yourself. And sure.
Ghana, we heard that there is a deal going on between them and Rectin.
Please come again.
Ghana,
okay,
yes.
All right.
We heard that there's a deal going on between them and Rectin. We want to find out from the minister how far with that. A very small question again. PayPal, when are Ghanaians going to get, the clearance to also now sign on to PayPal? Minister mentioned that there are some meetings going on, but we want to know when. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Karen from Bullet TV.
From which station, please?
Bullet TV, of the Tobinco Media Group. Yes. So my question is in relation to the activities of the Cybersecurity Authority. So I recently published an article, an investigative piece on scammers impersonating celebrities on TikTok to steal from them. I wanted to know if this has come to the attention of the Cybersecurity Authority and what they're doing to clamp down on some of these fraudsters.
Right, thank you very much. Any other question, please?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question to, yes, the ministers, some of the radio station operators is that it looks like NCA quoted to renew their licenses because somebody asked me, a radio station that was able to establish, get all the clearance to establish, how come that, license renewal regime approaches and now finds it difficult to, go through the process? So what actually can NCA explain to us what the challenges are that the radio stations face in renewing their licenses with them? Thank you.
Well, I think that's a very important question, which the minister would answer. Thank you very much.
Sami Dona, Ohani Mofia Moana, Enake Obalit, Ogbese Noba. She can't call a beer time you watch or be question and obi. 80K paper of in Ghana 2 times. Yeah, but I'll just for the avoidance of doubt, on the 80 Ghana deal, I stated that we give them 60 days. I think they're left at about 24 days. I've asked, KPMG is acting as transaction advisors. So the ministry is not engaged directly in the negotiations. KPMG is doing the negotiations and due diligence. The findings that come to us within 60 days, if they are unable to close a headway, we'll open up again and look at other proposals. On PayPal, I indicated that we've engaged with PayPal. We're working with the Bank of Ghana. Yesterday, I was on a call with the governor of the Bank of Ghana, trying to ensure that we align on the regulatory requirements from Ghana for PayPal. And then, because it appears that there had been some confusion, PayPal thinks that they must be regulated in a certain way or licensed in a certain way. The bank also thinks they must be licensed in a certain way. Thankfully, as a digital tech ministry now, we'll sit in as the arbiter and design and agree with the bank what should be the framework for PayPal, and PayPal will comply with same. On the PayPal end, there are also issues regarding illicit flow of funds, and they want to come in with about 4 different products at the same time. And I said, look, let's start with the basic payment remittance platform. The other add-ons can come as OTTs once you have your inroad. So we've agreed on that. So I'm hopeful that by my next quarterly brief, I should be announcing that we've gone live. I'm optimistic that we will do that. Scammers on TikTok, again, it's something I had addressed earlier, that I spoke about content moderation on the platform, and we even directed the Cybersecurity Authority to take active steps against people who are engaged in unwholesome content. We have a POC link with the platform with which we execute takedown orders. We are awake to the propensity of people to use the platform for evil, even though the platform is a platform for good. And so we'll continue to enforce our regulatory mandate to ensure that we take down the accounts, and accounts that are recalcitrant or we realize especially targets children that much. We don't just take down the accounts, we try to zero in and identify the individuals behind the accounts and make sure that they face the full rigors of the law and the courts of the land. Cumbersome procedures to renew licenses. Well, those are the excuses of every patriotic citizen to pay your taxes. True or false? Are media men exempt from paying taxes? And so if the NCA gave you a license and says that to renew your license, you must have audited annual accounts and you must have a tax clearance certificate from the GRA to certify that, yes, you are a responsible citizen, meeting your tax obligations. How can that be said to be cumbersome? He's just coming. This is year 1. Second term. I was a sitting member of parliament, but the Electoral Commission will not accept my forms for re-election as a sitting member of parliament if I didn't have a tax clearance certificate attached to it to show that as a member of parliament, I had paid all my taxes. I did that for my second term. After 2 terms in parliament, when I was going for my 3rd term, I had to go back again and get a tax clearance certificate for every single year of the 4 years that I was there. A term of member of parliament is 4 years. That you as a business that operates should show that your obligations to the state, taxes, are met. In some of the instances, it is EPA. The law says you must have an EPA license because you are erecting a tower. That tower has transmissions. We need to be sure that your the transmissions are wholesome for the other Ghanaian citizens in your environment. To be sure the integrity of your tower itself that has been put up. What will the same media say if the NCA cuts corners and you begin to see broadcast towers falling and killing people? What will you say about the NCA as a regulator if the same NCA did not ensure that transmitters that were being used were certified by the EPA to ensure that they were not hazardous to the citizens who live in the community where those transmitters are. Would you not hold the NCA and the ministry negligent in our fiduciary duty? You would. So please, as media persons, I keep saying, people say the media is the fourth estate of the realm. Look, with much power, that power of the fourth estate of the realm, it comes with a certain responsibility that the same way you would do breaking, same way, you yourself, needle, stitch your hole. Make sure that you are also meeting your tax obligations as an institution. I do not think there's anywhere we would say. In fact, one of the 6 channels, and Minister, I end here, one of the 6 channels that was affected in the first shutdown, the principal is a veteran journalist who now broadcasts from the US, works in a big institution in the US. And thankfully, when he came to complain to me, it was in April. So when I said, oh, thank you for coming. You work from America? I said, yes. I said, can you go and sit in front of the Secretary of State in America and tell him that your broadcast station that you work for in America has not met its lawful mandate, but as Secretary of State, because you have come to sit in front of him, he should waive the law for you to go. He said no. Then I asked him, I said, but let me ask you, you are in Ghana. The tax deadline in America is April 31st, April 15th. I asked him, have you made your accountant file your taxes in America? Why? He said, because of penalty. You haven't filed your taxes in Ghana, and you want me to waive it for you. Ghana man in America, you are paying taxes. Ghana man in Ghana, you won't pay taxes. How will government serve? How will the NCA be able to serve us better?
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that comprehensive brief. So we now are fully abreast of developments in the sector over the last 6 months. So until we meet again for a third quarter briefing, we draw the curtains down here on this program. Thank you all for coming.